Ness. It's the Wicked Awesome Sports Show.
You check one question?
Here he is now, Mike Payne!
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Mike Payne, and this is the Wicked Awesome Sports Show for the 31st of March, 2011. We're talking opening day, not the Red Sox, but opening day for Major League Baseball. Red Sox will start tomorrow, and we're all excited. We're going to do a full Red Sox show here for everybody. We're going to cover, of course, the team top to bottom. We're going to cover uniforms. We're going to go over some fantasy baseball for all the nerds out there. And one thing I want to say at the top of the show, and I'm not saying I have anything to do with this, but I'm going to take full credit for this, is that Mr. Joe Morgan will not be doing Sunday Night Baseball anymore. Can I get an applause break, please? Thank you very much. John Miller, I don't have a problem with, but the Joe Morgan, as a baseball fan, I can't do it anymore. We're still stuck with a little Tim McCarver, but I will take a little Tim McCarver instead of a little Tim McCarver and a little Joe Morgan. So we're very excited about that. And one more thing that isn't Red Sox before we move on, Mr. Buck Showalter. We all know about Mr. Buck Showalter. He is the esteemed manager of the Baltimore Orioles Baseball Club.
Heard of them.
And apparently he had some stuff to say about Theo and about our team. Apparently we spend money, and we like to get players that are good at playing baseball.
Which is
so, Mr. Buck Showalter, you have some good kids there, and you have some cagey veterans that I know are going to stay healthy. You know, like Vlad.
Derek
Vlad
Lee,
Green.
Mark Reynolds, J.J. Hardy. There's a whole bunch.
Just a bunch of healthy veterans, guys. And, you know, I'm sure they're going to do good. So, Buck Showalter, I know you're watching. Just relax. Relax on Theo. Relax on our team. We're going to meet you a bunch of times. And, you know, come see me in, let's say, September.
It'll play itself out for him.
I think it will. I think it will. I think they're going to still have a decent team. But, Mr. Buck Showalter, have a good year. And one more thing before we move on. Give us a call, please. Give us a call. It's not going to cost you anything. It's free. You don't have to donate money. But you will get a roster gift card. So you call, you'll get a gift card. Just talk about the Red Sox. Anything. Just call. Give us a call. And we'll listen to you even if you're ridiculous. So we're going to cut to a quick commercial. We're going to come back and we're going to dig into this. So we'll be right back. Woo!
I'm singing the national anthem at the big hockey game tonight, and I need something to wear. Can you help me out?
Old-time hockey styling is not just for the guys anymore. Girls, enjoy old-time hockey's vintage inspiration at the game and around town.
That's roster now.
Who do you think you are? Renee Rancourt.
Now that's old-time hockey.
Roster, sports, lifestyle.
We are back.
Took one right off the chops now.
I really did. You like that? Yeah, I actually really did get hit there. I just figured it was the best way to do it. You know, I'm my own
I think that's the way to go.
It really is. So we have Norm and Phil here today, and they're going to talk some baseball with us. So we talked about the Buck Showalter.
Yeah, interesting. Buck Showalter, fired by the Yankees in '95. They win it all in '96.
Mm-hmm.
Fired from the Diamondbacks in 2000. Oh, not fired. Well, after 2000, they win it all in 2002. So
what does that say?
Saying the Orioles are going to win it in a couple of years.
Well, as soon
after
as he
he's
gets
fired, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the Orioles coach. How long could that last, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Year and a half.
let's be honest.
Yeah. So
Probably a couple of years. So I have something fun for us.
I love fun.
Everybody always comments about my snazzy outfits that I wear, courtesy of Roster, our wonderful sponsor. So I figured with the Red Sox opening just tomorrow, less than 24 hours, we can go over some past uniforms, talk about them, talk about the fabric, talk about maybe the players that wore them, and if you guys have any thoughts and concerns on them, we're going to go over it. The first one we're going to do is the one I'm wearing right now.
It's really sharp.
It is really sharp. Not only is it really sharp, it's a very unique uniform. You know, you usually don't see this uniform. They only had this for a couple years, and then they went to that sort of blocked Boston letter that you saw, even in the '80s. Ted Williams wore it, and even in the '80s they wore that. And this is number 3. This is Jimmy Fox.
I like that one.
It's 100% wool, so it's
warm for those cold winter nights.
it's a warm jersey, but it's one of a kind. Mitchell and Ness out of Philadelphia makes these, and they make them to the exact T that the players wore them. If there was a patch that was on the player's uniform, if there was any sort of stitching or lettering, they did it. If it wasn't on the uniform, they didn't do it. So you're not going to see a Mitchell and Ness home Red Sox jersey that says Williams on the back, because Williams never had his name on the back of a uniform. So, but speaking of Williams, we're going to go over a few here. So this is our first one. If you can give me this camera here, whatever this is, camera 1. All right. So this is the first one. This is a Ted Williams. This is 1939 home uniform. And what you'll probably notice, I don't know if you'll notice it on TV, but the Red Sox didn't have a white uniform until maybe the 70s. It was always this cream color.
I never realized that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was always this cream color, and it's heavy, it's wool, and talking with old Red Sox players, factoid for you, Jim Longborg said that he would lose 10 pounds a start wearing these.
A start.
A start.
So
if
like within a 3-hour period, he dropped 10.
He would drop 10 pounds with his wool. Because keep in mind, he had the wool pants on, and
Geez, what the hell was he eating before the game?
I don't know. He wasn't a very big guy. He was a tall guy, but he was a skinny guy.
Yeah,
so
he was pretty thin.
he lost a lot of weight. So this is a Yaz 67 jersey, similar to the Williams, just no centennial patch on the side, number 8. Of course, it's 1967. We all know what happened in 1967, right, Phil?
I do.
Do you?
Triple Crown.
Triple Crown. This is his Triple Crown jersey. So then we're going to move up to the 70s, where everybody had awesome uniforms. If you follow uniforms, you'll see maybe the Pittsburgh Pirates had pretty sweet uniforms with the hats.
We Are Family.
The We Are
With
Family uniform.
the hats.
Yeah, they had like the pillbox
Yeah.
hats, and who else had some ridiculous uniforms in the 70s?
Houston Astros.
Houston really had the crazy ones, right?
The big bright orange ones. What about the White Sox? When did they have their shorts?
The shorts? I
With
don't
the
know.
collared shirts? They had the
Oh,
shorts.
yeah.
It was probably maybe late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
I think it was early 80s.
Yeah, it might have been early. There was afros, though. I think it was Bake McBride. I don't know. So, this is a 1975 jersey. This is Yaz with the Massachusetts bicentennial patch. Again, these are all Mitchell and Ness, number 8. They went to the pullovers.
And now you're white.
Yeah, and now you're white. And the main thing is this is polyester now. So this isn't. They got away from the wool in 1969. I think they figured that
A little too hot.
this is ridiculous. We can't keep doing this. So they went to the polyester. So that was their home uniform. This here is their away uniform. Number 14, Jim Ed.
Big Jim Ed.
Big Jim Ed. Speaking of Jim Ed, you're going to fast forward a few years. And we got this one here. This is probably the more traditional uniform that you guys will see now. The white with the pinstripes down the middle. 1987, 75th anniversary Fenway Park patch. And if you notice the back, what's different on the back that isn't on the new uniforms? Anybody? Anybody? Any kids at home? All right, well, thanks for playing my game. Up until recently,
No name.
the MLB patch is on top of all the authentic jerseys now. So they weren't doing that up until recently.
You are so tricky.
Not really. I just asked you when I showed you, and you didn't. So it really wasn't.
Nothing works up here.
Yeah, no, that's fine, but it wasn't me. Don't blame me. All right. So this is our last one here. This is my favorite one, I think, other than the one I'm
That's
wearing.
your favorite?
Other than the one I'm wearing, I love this one because this is when I was a kid. You know, when I was in my teens, like 10 years ago or whatever, you know.
That's got to be a lie.
Fact check.
So this is a 1987 Wade Boggs batting practice jersey, and it's mesh. It's a lot lighter than everything we showed you. Number 26 on the back, and it's a little more. You could wear this around. Like you
Yeah.
could wear this to a game. It's not too expensive, number one, and it's light. You're not wearing like a wool
It's good
sweater.
for the summer. Yeah, that
It
wool
is good
stuff
for
would
the
be
sweater.
painful.
So Mitchell and Ness, like I said, they're out of Philadelphia. They make all these awesome jerseys, and they don't make just Red Sox jerseys. They make all the leagues, all the teams.
I mean, you know, for all you Houston Colt 45 fans, you guys can get a jersey of our buddy Joe Morgan through Mitchell and Ness if you really want. And Roster at Legacy Place, our amazing sponsor, you can walk into Roster and buy any of these jerseys, and they're pretty amazing.
They're pretty happening. They look great.
They are pretty happening. You want one?
I'd like all of them.
Okay.
Can I
Done.
just take those home with me?
No.
Is that my size?
Yes, I think it is your size.
I think
actually.
that's all for me.
I thought you only wore suits.
Well, only on the show.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Outside
So
of the
you're
show, I can wear whatever I want.
I didn't know that.
True.
Wow.
Thank you.
You learn something new every day
You do.
here on the Wicked Awesome Sports Show. So, like I said earlier, we're talking Red Sox. We're talking everything Red Sox, and not to put down our Bruins and our Celtics. Well, I'm going to put down the Celtics a little bit, but
Yeah, you
not to
can
put
put
down
them
our
down a bit.
Bruins who are playing well. The Celtics are having a hard time, but both the Celtics and the Bruins are going to storm or limp into the playoffs. In our next show, we are going to talk about Celtics. We're going to talk about Bruins. But with opening day tomorrow, I mean, we got to talk Red Sox.
Got to go Sox.
It's just got to be Sox.
Got to be.
Because, I mean, we're a baseball town, right?
Even when it snows.
I don't know if we're a baseball town anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
You're saying that because we're on TV right now.
No,
And you want to be that guy.
I genuinely believe that we are no longer a baseball town.
No, you don't.
I do that.
This wasn't even on our rundown.
I know that.
Are we going to debate
But
this?
we can always go off that course.
We always do.
I know.
Now, why do you think we're not a baseball
I
town?
think that we are a football town.
All right.
I think the NFL has eclipsed Major League
I
Baseball.
think you have a
in this
vested
town.
interest in this. And what if we don't play this year? What if we don't play football this year?
That could change things. That could definitely change things. That would be sad if we didn't play football this year. But I do think that this is now a football town. I think that's the more important sport.
And if they don't play and the Sox win the World Series,
Back to baseball.
If they don't,
Back to baseball.
if they miss any time at all, it's a baseball town.
Well, they're missing time right now
Well, who cares now?
because there's nothing going on.
I don't think football even starts until what, week 3? When does baseball end?
it actually ends a little early this year, the very end of September. It doesn't. The regular season
Doesn't
doesn't
go into
spill into
October?
October this year. I think
Okay.
they learned their lesson.
That's the first time in a while, huh?
Yeah.
I think so. So we're going to hit a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk Red Sox. We're taking your calls here, 781-326-2107, like I'm on the radio. The phone
It
number
sounds good.
Doesn't it? Doesn't
Yeah,
that sound
you got a good
professional
voice
there?
for that.
So give us a call, and yeah, we'll take your questions. Kev, why don't you hit that quick break for us?
Contact the Wicked Awesome Sports Show. Email us at wickedawesomesportshow@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Wicked Awesome Sports Show.
And just like that, we're back.
Blammo.
So now I feel like we're settling in. I feel
Okay.
like we're doing this.
I feel good.
I feel good about this.
You're past lead off. You're now in the heart of the order.
We're in the meat. We're in the meat of the lineup.
Yep, number 3.
We're in the Mickey Tettletons of the lineup.
Ooh.
Is that?
That's the meat of the lineup. Mickey Tettleton.
What kind of meat is that?
We're the Dave Kingmans of the lineup here.
Oh, Lord. All right.
All
So
right,
be it.
we're sorry. We're in the Adrian Gonzalez
There we
part of the
go.
lineup.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Wow. What a homer. Okay. So we just got word that there's an opening day lineup posted finally.
Yes.
Terry Francona is finally,
He's throwing it out there for real.
he's throwing it out there.
It's
saying,
real
Texas,
time.
come and get us. This
Yeah.
is what we're giving you.
Another sign of spring.
Yeah.
You have a lineup.
Just like the snow outside.
So we do have Jacoby Ellsbury leading off. I mean, does that come as a surprise? Or did we all see that kind of coming?
I think before the season started, before even spring training started, I think it would have been a little bit of a surprise based on what he did last year or didn't do, and the fact they got Crawford. But Jacoby's done fantastic spring, and Crawford said he prefers batting third. So I think they're going to give it a shot and give him a little, a little push there, and hopefully he'll carry it over. But if he fails, you move Crawford up. You've got Youkilis batting fifth. I mean, how many teams would love to have Kevin Youkilis batting fifth?
Yeah, we're batting anywhere.
Or or 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ellsbury's going to have a huge year, but it's all health. I mean, from top to bottom of this lineup, it's health, and that's it. We know on paper they have the team, but on paper, obviously, it's not going to win you anything. But I mean, last year the health was ridiculous. We talked to Joe Morgan with it on that, and he was shaking his head, saying
There was a lot of health concerns last year. I mean, it would be difficult to imagine them going through something like that this year, but it's not outside the realm of possibility, you know.
Well, we made fun of the Orioles earlier about
Yeah.
their possible having health, but those are older guys, and they've had track records of injuries. Pedroia wasn't an injury-prone guy. Euclid wasn't an injury-prone guy. I don't think Ellsbury was an injury-prone guy, and they were young, in their prime, and they just got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way it was last year, and we saw a lot of Nava, we saw a lot of Darnell McDonald.
Yeah, I mean, I think it
and
was
ratings
good.
went boom.
Yeah, but I think it was good, though. I mean, who knew Ryan Kalish before this year?
Right.
Before last year. I mean, I think it was good that we saw those guys, and even McDonald and Nava. And, you know, are they going to play a big part of the team this year? It's like part of me hopes not. Like, you know what I mean? I
Right.
hope everybody's healthy. There's not a lot of drama with the lineup, but we did just hear that starting right fielder tomorrow. Did we hear some news on that?
We did hear a little bit of news on that.
Mike, Cameron.
Or not J.D. Drew.
Yeah, we can just say not J.D. Drew is starting in right field for the Red Sox tomorrow. I mean, let's take loyalty out of it. Is that a good move?
Well, if you're going with the lineup, going from righty, lefty, whatever it is, sure, it's a good move. But I find that to be really interesting. That's really a big slap in his face.
Like I said, if you take loyalty out of it, I mean, we all know that J.D. Drew must be just going home kicking his dog at this point because
I don't
like,
know about that. I don't know if he really is that into it or has that type of passion for it.
Oh,
he never displays that. Like, it's not there ever.
he's one of those guys, though. I think.
One of those guys.
I
what,
think it's a
he's robot?
sign they don't need him this year. Quite honestly, they don't need him. What is he batting, seventh? I mean, he's so far down in the order. They don't feel they have to placate him. It's not like he's a meat of the order guy. They have their studs up there. Worst case scenario, he gets hurt. You call up Kalish. You
Yeah,
know,
you
and
have
you've got Cameron too. They don't need to placate him anymore. They're going to play the numbers. And you know, Terry Francona, he's a player's manager. I mean, they're not going to pull Mo Vaughn out of there.
Well, if you think about it, they have 4 to 5 better lefties on their roster that are ahead of him. So why would they put him out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the lefty bat that we need, obviously.
Don't need it.
Especially
Just
now.
like you said.
Especially
Last
with our
year of his
acquisitions.
contract. It's the end of the J.D. Drew era. It can't come fast enough.
I mean,
Bye-bye.
I mean, I think everybody who watches the show knows where we stand on J.D. Drew. I think
Yeah.
This is, I mean,
Decent player, just tremendously overplayed and overrated.
well, I think J.D. Drew has been overrated since he's been drafted.
I agree.
Like when he came out of the draft, everybody said he's the next fill in the blank, and
Right.
they paid him a lot of money. And every team that's ever had him has paid him a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we were just the ones that really took the bait. Like we really, we really went in hard for J.D. Drew.
He had a pretty good year with the Dodgers that last year, and we needed somebody. And he came in. He had a couple of moments, you know, big homers against Cleveland in the playoffs. He had a few moments there. But how many times do you see J.D. Drew sit there and take strike 3 because he thinks it's 1 inch off the plate with the tying run on second
And
base?
then he complains and he turns to the ump, and
He just, that's who he is, you know. And this year, fortunately, he can be that guy, and people aren't going to get as upset about him anymore because he's batting 6th, 7th, 8th, you know. It's when we needed him to bat 3rd or 4th or 5th, and we had injuries, he didn't come through.
Yeah.
For whatever you want to say, he didn't come through.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm always a big fan of those players that are just down and dirty, and you know are playing hard. You know they're running 100%. And some players, although they are given that 100%, just don't look it. And Drew's one of those guys. Whether he is given 100% or not, it just always seems like he's just.
It's just nonchalant
there.
with him.
Whereas you take a Pedroia or a Euclid, you know, and they're just hustling the whole time, and it's just. I don't know. It makes some of those other guys stand out, I think, where it's just like, what's he doing?
Well,
Yeah,
the
I agree.
epitome of Drew was when he caught that foul ball in Tampa and let the tying run score.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that was just, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, it's, that's how I'll always remember that guy. you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, postseason, I think he's done well, but it doesn't save him. I mean, I think his career with us is, you know. But as Joe Morgan said, if everybody remembers our episode 2 of the Wicked Awesome Sports Show, you know, when we talked to Joe Morgan about money, he says, well, you know, it's not my money. I don't care. Like,
Right.
he just wants a winning team on the field. So I don't think he cares about the money. But as baseball nerds that we are, we look at that $14 million contract and then look at other players that are making half that, a quarter that, and then just realizing that not only did we overpay for J.D. Drew, we might have really been overpaying for other players after J.D. Drew because of J.D.
Because
Drew's
of that.
contract.
Yeah, it was a bad precedent.
It sets a really bad precedent, you know. So when those guys that really earn it step up, well,
Then what are you
JD
paying
Drew
him?
$14 million.
Yeah.
Well, you always have to overpay in free agency.
Yep.
You know, that's a fact. And, I mean, Gonzalez is going to get his money soon. You know, and Crawford got his money. There's no doubt about it, which is why I love the Red Sox developing from the minor leagues. Those young guys, they either come up and fill a hole or they're trading chips to get an Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah, and speaking of trading, they're not giving away. I mean, they gave away Casey Kelly, which is, you know, I mean, he was a little young for us to really, you know, figure out what he was all about. But they refused to deal, you know, a Buchholz, a Lester, or a Bard, or, you know, even Ellsbury a couple of years ago. They refused. So
Yeah, he seems to hold on to the good young guys and not give them away for anything.
no, which is great because back when I was a kid, or even take, you know, the Lou Gorman era, just like Jeff Bagwell. I mean, I hate to be the stereotypical throw out the Jeff Bagwell thing, but they would give away a lot of those kids for those veteran guys, and you know, it was never enough to put them over the hump in that specific year. So to keep these kids like a Youkilis, like Pedroia and Ellsbury, and the list just goes on. And I think, you know, even getting like Saltalamacchia, it's the kind of young player we want, whether he's going to work out or not. I mean, how do you guys feel about him being our starting catcher? Is he going to, you know, is he going to make a dent? Is he going to catch a lot of games, or is Varitek going to catch Beckett? Are they going to really just do matchups with pitchers?
That's really tough.
Well, what's interesting, I think, is they almost traded Buchholz for Saltalamacchia a few years ago.
I remember that,
And now you
yeah.
have both.
Yep.
And people were clamoring to trade Lester for Johan Santana. Why aren't we doing that
I
trade?
remember that.
And now Lester's been better than Santana for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And Santana's out till July, August. So they do a great job of holding on to these guys. And Saltalamacchia, to me, is a lot like J.D. Drew. There's no pressure on this guy. I know he's the starter, and it's Boston, and there's some pressure that comes with that. But again, he's batting the 7th or 8th. You know, if you needed him to be the Rangers thought he was going to be a 3-4-5 guy. You know, Atlanta thought he was going to be a 3-4-5 guy, and maybe he never will be that guy. But you can, you know, Phil and I were talking off the air about how Saltalamacchia is falling around Varitek. You hear all the reports, and he's just a sponge.
He's doing it the right way.
Yeah, he's learning it, and the pressure's off, and he's learning how to call a game. I thought he had a pretty good swing last year for the little time he played. I thought he got some good rips in there. I mean, some of those catchers we've had, some of those backup catchers, they went up there and they never had a chance. You know, you could tell.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the thing the hitting part of it doesn't really worry me with him. It's more how he's going to handle this pitching staff. If he is getting the bulk of the time behind the plate, it's how he handles these pitchers. You know, they've done very well in the past without him. Hopefully, this year he can prove that he can handle a top-notch staff, and also have the guys that maybe didn't excel last year bring it up a level this year, like one of my favorite people, Josh Beckett, and Mr. Lackey there, who I really think needs to have a big year.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about the pitching for a little bit, Lackey, I mean, the thing that I don't like about Lackey, and I don't know if it's me just being too much of a nerd, but the thing
It could be that.
the thing I don't like about Lackey is, you know, Nesson does a pretty good job of, you know, covering the games and getting the players' reactions, and Lackey was the type of player where a ball will be hitting the gap and it'll cut back to him and you'll see him throw his arms up. You'll see him throw his, like, he'll react to that. And it's so not what, you know, has been taught here. Like, you're not going to see a Lester do that. I mean, even though he can be a little intense, you're not going to see him do that. And it just sat with me wrong. Like, I just don't like that.
So you think it's like a lack of composure on his behalf?
Yeah, like, I just feel like it shows up those outfielders. Like, when you get a guy like Jacoby Ellsbury in the outfield and he didn't get to a ball, it's because he couldn't get to the ball. I mean, like, you have one of the fastest guys out there, and I don't like that. I wish the media had called him on that a little more. I think it's a big deal.
Well, that will be interesting to watch this year with him, you know. He needs a big year, because last year I think was, at the end of the year he kind of did a little bit better, but overall that was a disappointment for me.
Would have been nice to have Manny in left field for Lackey. I think he really.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, he would have been real
Just
happy.
rolling over the ball and running.
Flopping
Just
out
going to go to the
there.
bathroom for a bit, guys.
Yeah.
What's this door for?
Do you think too much is made of the rotation as far as the order of the rotation? Because I know when it first came out, it was like, Beckett, where's he? Not only is he not the opening day starter, but he's pushed pretty deep in that rotation. Like, is too much made of that? Is that just, you know, you think it's a lot of pride with the pitchers, or do you think it's really just it doesn't matter? It's just the lefty-righty, like.
I'd say there's probably something to it. I mean, they had Beckett out there against Houston yesterday, and I mean he mowed him down.
It was a quadruple A lineup.
Yeah, but he's had a tough spring, and Texas can hit. I mean, we all know that. They knocked the Yankees out last year. They have a solid lineup, and they can hit. And he's probably just trying to protect that ego a little bit. My sense with Beckett is I think the fastball's there. It's not what it used to be.
Is it, though?
But no, it's not there 96, 97 anymore.
It's barely
and
there,
he's
No, he was
now
hitting
in that
93 the other
adjustment.
day.
He's in that adjustment phase where he's not a total power pitcher anymore, and he needs more off-speed stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he's still a work in progress, making that adjustment from being dominant Beckett to that next tier down Beckett. And I think going into Texas and getting shellacked could do a lot of harm. I really do.
I agree with that.
I mean, the thing with Beckett, though, it's not like he's a 38-year-old guy, though. Like, it seems a little premature to do that sort of Roger Clemens, Pedro Martinez, like, you're not that power pitcher anymore. He seems a little young for that, and they just signed him up, and I don't know.
It's all relevant, though. You know, if this guy is starting to lose his mechanics and his physical strength, like, what are you going to do? It's just how it's happening. So you need to do a changeover if that's the case.
I definitely think. I mean, he signed through 2014 at over
what do we got?
$15 million a year.
3 more years, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I
You got to invest in this guy. Like Norm said, you got to set this guy up to succeed. And like maybe having him against the Texas Rangers lineup is not a way for him to succeed.
Yeah, on his first start, but he's going to pitch against New York. He's going to pitch against Texas.
Right.
Work him into it with the way he needs to be a pitcher now.
Or maybe Veritek catches him. I've always hated that, though.
Cleveland's going to be awful. So, you know, it's a great place to start. It really is.
I've always hated that personal catcher thing, and it might be from my hatred of Tim McCarver. Wasn't Tim McCarver? I mean, because wasn't Tim
Really
McCarver
airing it
Bob
out
Gibson's
today.
catcher? Like, and that's his claim to fame. I caught Bob Gibson, and although I was like a 160 hitter or whatever, like he was Bob Gibson's catcher.
Did he even crack 100 for average?
I think he was like a $160. He probably weighed more than his average. But
Still better than Doug Mirabelli catching Wakefield. So. Getting the police escort
So
back into
that's
town.
what irritates you, is something like that.
is what?
Mirabelli and Wakefield.
No.
No,
The
that
Mirabelli
didn't-
and Wakefield thing, the knuckleball thing, I get. But when it's just a matter of like the psyche of the pitcher, like, you know, because anybody could call a game, and a young kid like that, I mean, I think the pitcher's really calling the game. I mean, you know, a veteran pitcher's not going to let a rookie kid, you know, call all his pitches.
I
find
don't
that
know
hard to
about
believe.
that. We'll see. We'll see this year, right?
I guess we will. Well, Saltalamacchi has
If
been
there's a
around.
lot of shake-offs, you'll be able to tell.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he's been around a little bit, though. I mean, he's not a rookie, so.
Right.
Well, a little bit, though, around.
And plus with Veritek being around, just him being around, you know, I think is going to help.
I agree.
Who
I think
knows
that's
after this
that's a
year?
wealth of knowledge right there.
It's got to be, right? I mean, and honestly, like, look at Veritek last year when he did play. You know, when he did play once a week, like, he was hitting. I mean,
Yeah.
is that going to happen this year? Who knows? But, you know, I mean, I think we got out of him last year more than, you know, when he was playing.
More than I thought, you know.
Way more than I thought.
Yeah.
And then we got the bullpen, the revolving door of the bullpen, and I'm excited. I'm excited with the bullpen, and I'm excited with the pickups. Like, I mean, you know, for what we paid for these guys, I think it's pretty exciting for that, you know, pre-Jonathan Papelbon, 7th, 8th, you know, inning guys. Jenks and Wheeler.
Yep.
I mean, are these good pickups? I mean, they got to be.
I think
considering
those
what
are
we had
great
last
pickups.
year.
Yeah. But we
Yeah.
discussed this before off air. I think the thing that makes me a little nervous is you only got one lefty in that bullpen.
You do. Right now, you have one lefty. And with Okajima going bye-bye down to Pawtucket for now.
Yes.
I mean,
Okie.
We,
Yeah.
we loved Okie. He got voted into the All-Star game that one year.
did.
That last man to make it. But the American League has figured him out. And he's just, they know that just sit and wait on that changeup and it's coming eventually, you know. Because your heater's only 88, 89, you know, so just wait on the changeup.
yeah, and unfortunately.
Well, that's nothing you really have to worry about this year, I guess. I don't know if I necessarily see him coming back to the team.
Yeah, I mean, I see him getting dealt. I mean, to be honest, because if a National League team picks him up, maybe he'll have that good run, like you said. People haven't seen him.
Because they don't know him.
He goes to the
Yeah.
National League, you know, he might get that run, you know, a playoff-bound team might pick him up and catch lightning in a bottle for, you know, a couple months.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they probably get a bag of balls for him, but you know, I don't know how much
Bag
he's
of
worth.
balls.
Well, if Daisuke doesn't do well and he gets traded to a National League team, you could see Okajima kind of a little package deal there, you know.
That's,
What are you
that's
trying
true.
to say?
Well,
Why would
they
they
say
package
that
them
was one
together?
of the reasons that they
I'm so
came in.
confused.
One of the reasons
That's
they
true.
brought him in.
They supposedly brought in Okajima just to placate Daisuke.
Oh, you're saying,
They talk the same
Oh,
language
'cause-
and everything.
oh.
Yeah.
all right.
What are you saying?
I don't even know anymore.
I
That's
don't even know
craziness.
either.
No, but I think they've been trying to deal him for a while, Daisuke. I think they've been putting it out there. I mean, how much is he making this year?
He doesn't make. I mean, he's only like 10 million. It's that posting fee that
Oh,
brought,
that
you know.
50 million.
Yeah.
Was it only 10 million? I thought it was
Yeah,
more
he-
like
his
12
His
or 14.
contract's 10.
Yeah, it's like 10 a year,
Yeah.
and then it was 50 million posting fee, so it was like 100 million for
Right,
5
right.
years.
So they paid
Oh, is it
50
five?
million
Okay.
just
So
to
10
talk
million,
to him.
yeah.
Just
But
to talk
yeah.
to him, they paid
Yep.
50 million.
I don't know. I have a lot of hope for Daisuke. I think I like his stuff. And
I can't watch it.
as a fifth starter, though, like that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, most teams would die to have him as
an amazing fifth
as an
starter.
end of the rotation guy, but he frustrates the heck out of me. Like, just walk, you know, strike out, fly ball. It's like just enough. Like, does every inning have to end with somebody in scoring position? Like,
It does get you a little nervous.
Well, they've changed up some stuff with him, and the second half of spring training, the results showed that the new pitching coach, Kurt Young, there, he was changing like the days he's doing long toss and throwing between games and everything. And his last few starts were pretty good, and they have him pounding the strike zone more. So we'll see, but I think he could be on a short leash, that one.
yeah, no,
I could see a National League team, you know.
Trying to get him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they signed this guy, Andrew Miller, on the cheap from Florida.
Yep.
And he's a lefty, and he throws gas, and he was always a highly touted pick that just never panned out.
He was.
And the Sox get a hold of some of these guys, they can turn them around, you know. I think they'd rather see a lefty flamethrower out there than, Mr. 5 1/3, 6-run Daisuke, for half
That's
the
taken
season.
a long time to do it, too.
yeah. I mean, well, especially if that money, if you can pay Andrew Miller what they're paying him, which is probably nothing,
Right.
To Daisuke, it's. I mean, if you deal Daisuke, you're paying probably most of that $10 million, or
Right.
at least for this year. Next year, if they
We've
want to
already
pony up
paid
there.
it so much.
Plus, there's also Wakefield, and he seems, no matter what his age, he gives you a streak of like 2.5
Yeah.
months where
Yep.
he's solid. He doesn't do it very well in the beginning of the year, and he does nothing at the end of the year, but there's always that patch in the middle
Yeah.
where he is a stud.
Yeah.
And the knuckleball's going, and they can't hit him.
Yep.
And he gives you a lot of innings. He rests the pen. There's some advantages to him over a Daisuke who taxes the bullpen.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
That's a
I
great
agree.
point.
I totally agree. I almost think he's taken for granted a little bit. Like,
Wakefield?
I mean, give him credit though. Like, he does what he's told, and he, who knows what goes on with conversations, but I mean, you never hear in the news saying, Wakefield, storms out or this or that. He always does what he's asked to do, and
Right.
it just seems like such a waste having him in the bullpen, like, because he eats up innings as a starter. Like,
Right.
you're going to give the ball to Wakefield, and he's going to go 7. Like, unless he gets totally just bombed, he's gonna go 6 or 7. He's gonna give you innings, and it just seems like such a waste to have him be the long guy in the bullpen.
Yeah,
Like,
I think, like Norm said, though, like it's usually at the beginning of the season that he doesn't really excel at what he needs to do. So, beginning of the year, bullpen.
and then what?
And then you trade
And
Daisuke.
somebody's
Beckett gets hurt,
something's
somebody-
going to happen, and you fill him in.
Yeah.
Beckett gets hurt. I don't
And
know.
I would like it
The
if no one
chances
got
of all
hurt,
5
but
starters going a full year not getting hurt are pretty slim.
Slim,
Somebody
right.
always goes down.
something happens.
And Wakefield will be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always said the starters making their starts is the key to everything. It's just the key to everything, and I don't care what team you are. When you start seeing like the Abe Alvarez's like coming up and making spot starts,
Yeah,
it's like you're done.
Something's
Like,
wrong.
You're done. It's like you can't have that. You
Right.
got to have your starters make their starts, and anybody that makes the playoffs, anybody that goes deep into the playoffs, it's like they have those starters that make their starts, and it's
Well, who do you think is the most important starter on the team right now?
the most important?
Yeah. Who's the one that we can ill afford to lose?
Well, I mean, I think well, I mean, you got to say Lester and Buckholz are the horses of the of the rotation. They have to be, and those guys have to do what they did last year. If they do more, then great. But if they do what they did last year, I mean, I think the X factor of everything has to be just Beckett and Lackey together. Like, those are the guys. Like, those are aces on any staff, really. I mean, the fact that they had just had mediocre years and they pushed to the middle, to the end of the rotation, it's like those are the two guys. If those guys can pitch like they can pitch, I think we'll be fine. Because I have no problem with Buchholz and Lester. I don't know about you guys.
I think Lester's the most important one. You lose him, you're going to have a big problem all year, because then Buchholz technically would be your horse, and I don't think he's necessarily ready for that. And I don't know how Lester can have a better year. Like, what's he going to do, have 21 wins?
All he can do better over last year is start a little stronger. He tends to
It's true,
start a little slow
that's
in
it,
April.
only the beginning.
And if you want to get him in a Cy Young discussion, he has to do it the full year.
It's got to be the whole time.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I would pick him as being the one, at least for me, that's the most important in that rotation.
Yeah. No, I mean, most important, yeah, if he goes down, we're in trouble. But like I said, if any of them go down, I mean, you can throw Wakefield in, but other than that, if it's catastrophic, just craziness, then I think we're in trouble. But Lester's the guy. I mean, a lot of people are picking him Cy Young. Sports Illustrated, they're saying Lester's the guy.
All he needs is that start off strong, because he's certainly in the middle he's strong, and in the end he's strong. If he gets that one more piece into his repertoire, I think we could be looking at something special this year, especially with that lineup.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be perfect.
It's true.
He could be a 75%
Hey, there he is.
Lester.
Good picture.
Yeah. He could be a 75% Lester some games and still win because of that lineup. He doesn't have to be, A's and 96.
Yeah.
He can be off a little bit and still win. They're going to score runs for him.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. He's the man. He's the guy. All right, everybody, we needed a call. We need some phone calls here. We're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to get off this year's team a little bit.
Whoa.
And we're going to go a little deep. So you're going to call 781-326-2107. We're going to talk about our all-time favorite Red Sox team. Now, when I say all-time favorite Red Sox team, we're not going to be throwing stats around. I mean, we're not going to get too super nerdy here. So call this number. Is it like this? No, it's like
Ready?
this. Call the number. You're going to get a roster gift card just for calling. And, you can be as ridiculous as you want when you call. You can tell us that Jeff Fry was your favorite second baseman of all time.
He
and
was mine.
You'll still get a gift card to roster for just saying that, even though it was ridiculous. You'll still
That's
get a gift card.
redonkulous.
So we're just going to go quick. We're going to talk about catchers, backstops. There's been a few, and they managed to stay a few years. Obviously, Veritek's probably the top of most people's list. I mean, he's got to be, but is he your favorite?
No.
Oh, boy. No?
Oh, boy.
Not for both?
Oh, boy.
Wow. Okay.
I go right to Carlton Fisk. I love that guy. I always loved him. I just like the way he carried himself. The image of him hitting that home run is forever ingrained in my memory. And to me, that actually is one of the top moments in Red Sox history. So for me, I give it to Carlton Fisk.
You're going out on a limb there, Phil.
I'm really
I'm gonna
not.
tell you
but
that.
And I also didn't he used to do those commercials for like the tobacco and he's chopping wood or whatever he was doing. Killed
His
me.
flannel shirts.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah, I love Fisk too. It's part of my childhood, but I have to give it to Veritek for the World Series, for catching all those no-hitters. I just think the idea of growing up. I mean, my father, he born, raised, died, no World Series his whole life. So there's just that magic moment when you win a World Series, and Veritek was the man, and he was part of two of them, and that's something I won't ever forget. So to me, it's got to be Veritek.
And you bow to him.
Now, let me ask you
The altar.
this. Let me ask you this. He's had the World Series. He's had multiple no-hitters. I don't know, maybe 4?
I think it's more, isn't it? Is it 4?
4? Okay,
Four?
because he had
We
Buchholz.
got Quattro from
he
the
had
side.
Buchholz, Lester,
Yeah.
Nomo,
Yeah, Hideo Nomo,
and the other guy. So that's 4.
the other
right
guy.
there.
And,
One pitch away from a fifth from Schilling.
From Schilling in Oakland.
wait, who's the other guy?
And Schilling shook him off.
Schilling did shake him off.
I think he wanted the curveball, and he gave him what was
What
left
was
of his
left?
heater.
Who's the other guy? Who's the infamous other guy?
The other guy, the 4th guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Joey
So-
other guy?
Now he's Veritek a Hall of Famer.
Who I don't. I mean, hitting-wise, he didn't necessarily have stellar numbers.
Okay.
No.
So how much will they let a catcher in for, pitch selection,
But that's what
game calling,
exactly, that's what I'm
leadership?
saying.
I think
World Series
that's an
wins.
excellent argument. I think he has the potential to go into the Hall of Fame. Because, like, what catchers are in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
And what are their averages in batting? Like, it's usually not that high.
I mean,
if you
like
take
a
like-
Johnny Bench is the standard, and he
Like,
obviously
if
he
you
could
take a
hit
Yo-
in
if you
with
take a
it.
Yogi Berra, for instance,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think his average is terribly high. It could totally just be like
I don't
not
think it
knowing
is
what I'm
either.
talking about.
Right.
But he has rings.
Lot,
He has a lot of rings.
Lot
He's
of
got the
rings.
jewelry.
So,
Yes.
so that might play a factor in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, first base. What do we got?
Well, you like Adrian Gonzalez already.
I do, but like
hasn't even played a
nobody's
game
on
yet.
board with me with that one.
He hasn't even played a game yet.
I'm sorry, that's what I'm going with. I just won't argue it because that's what I like. I
All
got my
right,
little
that's
crystal
what he
ball
likes.
going, you know?
Yeah. Well, going back, showing my age a little bit, I did like George Scott at first
The
base.
Boomba!
Because he was this all or nothing guy. But I'd have to give it a move on. I thought he did it a little longer. I thought he propped up a lot of bad teams.
Yeah, when he was here, he was really
Yeah, I
he was
mean,
fantastic.
There's a little bloom off the rose when anyone leaves town, someone leaves Boston.
Get all angry at him.
But, I mean, he was the face of the franchise for a lot of years. I got to give it a mo.
Okay, Mo. All right.
What do you got there?
I was
What
going
do
to
you
say Nick Asaski.
Mr. Vertigo.
No, I wasn't. First base is a tough one because Mo's up there, but I just like to go back to I like Buckner. I don't know if it's popular. I mean,
Why wouldn't you
the
know
whole
if
ball
that's
leg,
popular?
The whole ball leg thing, through
Yeah,
the.
that kind of hurt.
But he carried that 86 team.
He did.
Down
He-
that stretch.
he was
people
on
don't
fire that year.
realize, People don't realize how much he was on fire going into those playoffs, and it's a shame, because career-wise, he had amazing numbers, and just that run was amazing. It was epic. It was like a David Ortiz-esque run, but it's all forgotten. So I say Buckner, and now I'm going to say my two middle infielders. We're gonna package them together here. I'm going Pedroia at second, and I have to go Nomar at short. Nomar at short.
I'd love to disagree, but I can't disagree with either of those. All I can throw out there is little props to Marty Barrett because I thought he had a great playoff run.
Marty,
And,
okay.
but he wasn't as much a regular season contributor, but he had a nice playoff run there in the two-hole. He was a prototypical two-hitter, but the laser show, Dustin Pedroia is just, league MVP, head and shoulders above pretty much all second basemen.
All right.
Yeah. I really like Pedroia at second base. And then maybe in a different kind of way, I really liked Orlando Cabrera at shortstop. I thought he was a special guy. I liked him at the plate. I liked him in the field. I liked his attitude. And I wish we never got rid of that guy. And I think if we didn't get rid of him and he was here for a while, it would have solved a lot of issues that came up after the fact.
I do wish we held
Lugo,
on.
Renteria, all that.
Exactly. I do wish we
'cause-
held on to him just for a couple more years because we could have paid him what he was getting and just that revolving door for a while.
And he's still playing.
He's still
on
playing.
Cleveland.
Yep.
They signed him in the offseason late, and now he's their starting second baseman, so he's still hanging in there.
Wow. So third base, real quick, who you got?
I forget who I said before.
You said Uke.
Uke.
Of course
That was
you
it.
did.
Sorry.
Of course you did. Who do you got?
Clell, Laverne, Butch, Hobson.
Butchie.
Batting eighth, 78 teams, still hit 30-something homers.
I think
Truly
he,
an
I, th- I
amazing
think he hit
squad.
that, I think he hit that many because he was on the 78 team. I think there was just
Maybe.
something in the water.
The pitchers were just so tired after facing that lineup, they just
Yeah.
lobbed it to him.
Yeah. I have a tie.
A tie for
Yep,
third
our first
base.
ever tie in the Wicked Awesome Sports Show.
I don't know if that's the
between-
first ever, is it?
Have we ever had a tie in anything here? No, I usually
I guess you're
win.
right.
I
You're-
usually
I'm
win
sorry, you're
most
right.
stuff.
It's true.
So, between Wade Boggs and
Buggsy.
and Bill Miller, fellow batting champs. I just love the way Bill Miller played. He seemed like he was going all out, and of course he has the championship, something Boggs didn't have with us.
Yep.
But just similar. They were both just pure hitters. Outfield, real quick. Who do you got? Left, center, right.
Center, I got Fred Lynn. Really like Fred Lynn. Right, I got Dwight Evans. And then that left field's difficult. I got to go Yaz.
Wow. All right, what do you got?
I got to go Ted Williams in left.
All right, that's not controversial.
I'm not that old,
Are
but
you sure?
just everything you read about the guy, I just got to give my props to Ted Williams. Anybody who leaves a sport to go fight a war and then comes back, play sports again.
that's a
I'm
shame.
sorry, that's a little.
And leave at like the meat of your career.
prime of
and
his
still
career.
come
Yeah.
back and crush things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know.
Center, I got to go
Triple
Ellis
Crown was always
Burks.
good.
Oh, wow.
Just
Ellis
kidding.
Burks. Oh, that was my
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry.
confusing
You making
here.
fun of my pick? That was my pick.
Was it really?
It really was.
Oh, okay.
Damn it.
I liked Fred Lynn, but I have a thing for Jacoby. I was thinking of renaming all my kids.
It's true.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
He brought that up to me at one
Yeah,
point.
I
It's
was
like, I'm
gonna
going to
rename
legally
them
change.
Jahenry, Jalili, Jabella, and Gillette. I was
Yeah.
gonna because I had a
Even the
little
girls.
Jacoby man crush. So
So crazy.
I'm still probably gonna give some props.
Don't you
to
just have a dog?
Jacoby. Arthur.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
You can still have more kids. yeah.
And I love Dewey and Wright.
Dewey and Wright is.
I always like Dewey.
Who doesn't? I mean,
Even
Dewey-
when he went to the Orioles at the end of his career, I was still rooting for
you
him.
just feel bad for those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys that just like that pick up that 1 year contract with somebody. It's just always sad to see that. But Evans, obviously, my center field's a tough one though. I mean, I gotta go Lynn, I guess. But who else really? I mean, other than Ellsby, like who else really has? It seems to be quite the revolving door
Damon.
there.
I mean, you could go for Johnny Damon.
Damon.
Yeah, he had some good years, but anytime you leave the Red Sox to go to the Yankees, people just kind of they have that little flinch.
Well, it
when
happens
they
in
talk
You know, for
about
some
him.
reason, I never had that issue with him doing that. Like, I never felt that horrible feeling.
I didn't either, and it was only because I knew that he had no arm left. He had like a ragdoll arm, and
A ragdoll
and,
arm.
and I knew him going into that park, he would automatically be a power hitter, and he wouldn't have done what he did. Like if he had that same exact year at Fenway, he just wouldn't have put up those numbers. So good for him. I mean,
Plus, we had Coco Crisp coming in, and look how that worked.
thank God, that was tremendous.
Yeah.
Cocoa, Krispies.
So I will also take. I mean, I'll take Yaz and left just because I like Yaz, but you could throw in Rice in the prime of his career. I
Yeah.
mean, Ted, obviously. I mean, Manny. I mean, it's just, we've been lucky
Yeah, we've been really fortunate with
for
left
left
field.
fielders.
And now you got Crawford for a long time.
Yeah,
Yep. So
that's going to be a lot of fun.
as far as pitching, give me 5 pitchers.
Oh, boy.
Top, just right off the top of your head. What do you
Top starting pitcher for me is always going to be Pedro
got?
Martinez.
All right, so you have Pedro.
Bill Lee,
Okay.
just because he was special and fun and
Yep.
really different.
Yeah.
You got to go Roger. I know
Roger,
people hate him,
okay.
but he was so dominant. I mean, as a kid, you would just a lot of times you just wanted to watch the Sox bat. But when Clemens was pitching, you would just watch him just blow away people.
I still watch.
batter
I
after
still
batter
watch
after
that first
batter.
20 strikeout game.
Yeah.
Not the second one,
Yeah.
but the first one against the Mariners at home.
I went
Yeah.
to that game.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. I drove down from UMass and saw that game with somebody we both know, Mike Linadelli.
I mean, they still replay that on Nesson from time to time,
It's historic.
and I still remember all the calls and, you know, the Gorman Thomas home run. I think was it Gorman Thomas hit a home run? I could be making that up. I could
I
totally
think
be
you're making that up.
I
That's
think
okay.
it was. Phil Bradley was a 20th strikeout. It was. But Clemens is there for me. Pedro also. Bill Lee also.
Louis Tiant, liked watching him.
Louis Tiant.
I like Bruce Hurst.
Bruce Hurst for a lefty.
Hurst
he
was
was
really
pretty
good for
clutch.
a solid couple of years.
And he would be, if they had won it in '86, he would have been, his
The
legend
man.
would have been cemented.
He would have been the man, yeah.
No, I think that's good. We're gonna move along now. Hope everybody wasn't too bored by that. I hope that was a good time. We're gonna move on. We're gonna hit a break, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna wrap up with some fake baseball talk, or a lot of people call it fantasy baseball.
Fantasy.
It's a fantasy land.
I'm having a fantasy
So we're
right
talking
now.
fantasy baseball and how that relates to our Red Sox and your fantasy baseball team. So, Kev, can you bring it to commercial for us, please? Hey, Coach Willie May, what's the matter?
Come on, guys, look at me. I'm not happy. I mean, I need some flavor. Look at this outfit. Come on. Can you help me out?
Mitchell & Ness, authentic sports apparel since 1904. Feel Mitchell & Ness history, detailing the aged aesthetic of yesteryear.
Mitchell & Ness. Old school, but oh so cool.
Looking good, Coach.
Hey, kid. Catch. Wow. Thanks, Coach. Now that's roster.
Roster, sports, lifestyle.
All right.
Coach Willie May.
All right, people at home, it's not too late to call. It's not too late. Just look inside your hearts and your wallets. No?
Yes.
That's what they say in the telethons.
Well, this isn't a telethon, but
Give
that's
us a
all right.
call, you'll get free stuff. will give you free stuff. 781-326-2107. Free stuff. I mean, really.
Free.
I mean, look at all the amazing stuff Roster carries. I mean, I wear it every show, and you can get some of that stuff for free just by making a phone call. Show us that you're watching, make a phone call, and we're going to talk about some fake baseball. Phil, you're not into the fake baseball.
I'm not good at it. I'm terrible at it, as a matter of fact, and I tend to abstain. But
all right, so Phil has a life, but me and you, we're going to talk about fantasy baseball.
Excellent.
Now,
wait a minute. Does that mean you guys do not have a life?
no, we do fantasy baseball.
That's your life.
It has to be.
Okay.
That's how it works.
All right, that's fine.
Now, everybody here, everybody watching, everybody
funny
has a
stuff.
fantasy baseball team. Some people have 2, some people have 3, some people pay for them, some people do them for free. That's like that's a poem I made.
That was really rhymerific.
So we're going to talk about that, but not only are we going to dig into some players that you could pick up in your draft that might not play for the Red Sox, but we're also going to talk about the Red Sox players, because most people that have fantasy teams are also in a fantasy league with 9 other people that are also Red Sox fans.
At least in this area,
At
right?
least in this area. Unless you're like super into it and you're online, in a league with people from around the country, you're going to be in it with your friends, with your coworkers, and that could be a mistake. I mean, like, what's some of the mistakes that people make in a regional league like that?
Well, interestingly enough, I think this year it's legitimate to have 4 or 5 Red Sox players be picked very early. I can't say that in past years. There would be a couple. And like you said, then people would grab Red Sox players a little too early. But this year, from Pedroia to Euclid to Crawford to Adrian Gonzalez to Lester, stud, all of them at their respective positions. Euclid is a little tricky because he's going to play third base, but at this point he's really only a first baseman in a lot of leagues. Won't let you shift him over till he actually starts playing those games. But the other 4, Pedroia, top second base, one of the top, him and Cano, right up there. Crawford, top 2 or 3 outfielders out there. Lester, top 5 pitcher. There's a lot of pitching this year. They're all studs, right? Adrian Gonzalez, I mean, he's right up there with Pujols, Mark Teixeira, Adrian Gonzalez. Depending on who you ask, those guys are all shuffled just a little bit. Votto won the National League MVP. So this year, it's a little hard to overvalue the Red Sox studs. In prior years, I think you could do that, and you might be able to get away with, okay, let some homer take a Red Sox. I'm going to take a better player. This year, it's a little hard to do. I mean, someone could reach for David Ortiz or something and take him a little too early, or someone,
Papelbon or something like
or
that.
Papelbon or Beckett. I mean, Beckett. Some people thinking he's going to come back. I know Phil's pretty high on Beckett, but I mean, his numbers were awful last year. I mean, he was injured, and his numbers were awful. And fantasy is all about the numbers. And if you think Beckett's going to bounce back, he could be a decent bargain. But for the most part, I don't know. You don't take a guy like that too early, because he can kill your staff.
So, in your fantasy, how many teams do you have?
3.
Wow. Okay. So, out of your 3 teams, how many Red Sox have you picked?
One of them is a keeper league where I've had Lester for a few years.
Wow.
And I just won't let him go.
Of course
And
not.
in that same league, I traded for Adrian Gonzalez recently.
Wow.
Because even though first base is pretty deep, there's a lot of studly first basemen, and I had David Wright of the Mets on third base, in a little homerism, I did trade the 2. One could argue, Wright plays a tougher position. There aren't as many strong third basemen. You should go with him. I just think the Mets are going to be terrible this year. I think it's going to affect his numbers. 2 years ago, he didn't have a strong year. Last year, he had a bounce-back year. That Citi Field is kind of a hitter's graveyard.
It wasn't supposed to be either. When they first said it, when they first built it, they were saying how balls are going to fly out of this place, and then just never happened.
He does get some steals. So maybe that's David Wright right there.
That could be.
I mean, I'm assuming it is.
It could be.
I'm assuming it is. So when you're drafting fantasy teams, give me some mistakes that people make, like whether it's drafting certain positions too high. Give me some common mistakes that our people that are watching the show cannot make.
Well, rule number 1 is you never take closers too early. There's just too much volatility. I mean, I already looked at today's opening day, and already 2 closers have blown games. Franklin on the Cardinals blew the 9th inning in San Diego with no Adrian Gonzalez, came back on him.
Thank God.
Yeah, and Milwaukee had the closer Axford gave up 4 runs in the 9th inning, and Cincinnati came back and beat them. So people will draft closers early, and there is so much volatility in that one. All you get is that one category. It's just not worth it. You know, it really isn't. You just wait and you pick a few guys late. You know, it's kind of like fantasy football where you take a kicker at the very end. You know, you don't wait too long. You want some decent closers, but you're not taking anything in the first 6, 7, 8 rounds. It's you take the best people out there. You grab the best positions. I mean, Brian Wilson, everyone thinks he's like the #1 closer before he got hurt. Last year he was just middle of the pack. He had a good year, you know. Closers have him, and then it goes the other way. I mean, Papelbon, we've all seen him. He's been up, he's been down.
He's been down. We got a call, everybody.
Woo!
We had a call, so let's figure out.
I thought Brian Wilson was on the Beach Boys.
He was on the Beach Boys. He's not anymore. Now he pitches.
What do you know? What a turnaround.
Hey, caller, what's your name?
Hi, this is Alex calling from Dedham.
Hi, Alex. I'm going to turn you up a little bit here. What's going on? What do you have for us?
I just have a question. Who should my top 4 picks be for my fantasy league?
Your top 4 picks. Well, where is your pick in the draft?
I think it should be around 3.
3, okay.
All
right.
1, 2, 3. Pujols, Hanley Ramirez, Miguel Cabrera. You get one of those 3, you've got a nice start.
Yeah, if you can get one of those 3, that's definitely a nice start. And then, you know, assuming it's a snake draft where it's going to come back to you, you're going to get if you're third, you're going to get the
Well, how many teams are in the league? Is it 10 or 12?
There's 12 teams.
Okay, so that's a good size league. So then you might be looking at like a David Wright, third base, coming back around, or even a Pedroia, second base, a stud middle infielder might be nice.
Right.
And then with the third or fourth pick.
Pedroia.
Say again?
I was thinking Pedroia. That's who I was going to try to get as well.
Yeah, he's because by then like Tulowitzki would be gone, Hanley Ramirez would be gone, but you could target a Pedroia. And actually, outfield is not that deep this year for the studs. Like, I mean, a Ryan Braun will be gone, and a Carlos Gonzalez might be gone. But there's 3, 4, 5 other guys after that who are pretty good. And then I would say with that 4th pick, grab a good pitcher. I mean, Roy Halladay won't be there, but there'll still be some studs.
No, he won't.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for your call. Hold on the line. We're going to give you a roster gift card, which you can come down to Roster Legacy Place in Dedham and spend that. So thanks for your call.
Oh, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. So just to wrap up the fantasy baseball talk, don't pick closers early. Now, if you were to pick a closer, there's obviously a top 3 or 4 guys. I mean, right now you obviously can't go wrong with Rivera still. I mean, you can't.
Unbelievable.
Unless you take him too early. That's really the only thing. You know, there's still some studs out there, but even a Papelbon, all these guys have a little risk. You know, you have to wait till, 7th, 8th, 9th round to even start thinking about it.
And closers emerge too, though. You know, and a month down the road, some guy's going to be named a closer and they might reel off 20 in a row. It's like they're always out there.
But you do have to be active and watching the news and watching the waiver wires.
That goes back to the non-life thing that we talked about.
Yeah, because someone in your league will be. Someone in your league will be looking for the news and picking the guy up before you. So the closers are volatile, but if you're the kind of guy who doesn't pay attention at all, then you're probably not going to get them.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. All right. Well, I think that's helpful.
Good job.
I think that's good. You know, I mean, everybody, all you fantasy nerds, are going to go out there and listen to us and call in on our next show in a couple weeks and tell us how you did in your draft. I draft on Saturday, everybody. So I will post on our website my, I was going to say starting lineup, but my roster. I will post it on our Facebook. So check out our Facebook, Wicked Awesome Sports Show, on Facebook, and friend us on that, and you will see my amazing lineup that I will have.
An amazing lineup.
It'll be
full
amazing.
of Red Sox.
Full of Red, no.
Full of Orioles.
So before we go, we want to thank Norm and Phil, of course, and we want to thank Roster, our amazing sponsors, for all of our jerseys that we went over today in my wardrobe, and we want to thank most of all the Boston Red Sox.
God bless them.
we really want to thank the Boston Red Sox for really doing their job this offseason. I'm
Really
excited.
did a great job this offseason.
I'm excited for this season. It starts tomorrow. So,
Go team.
3 o'clock, Texas. This has been the Wicked Awesome Sports Show. So, tune in a couple weeks. Watch all the reruns. I know you're going to love to see that. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. So, thanks for watching.
Live from Dedham, Mass, it's the Wicked Awesome Sports Show.
Hey, Shaq, one question.